What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So I've been hearing a lot of conversations about PC and optimization and how, PC ports are usually broken and, at launch of the games and blah, blah, blah. But the reality does not paint the full picture because it's a bunch of fugazi at the end of the day. Because what this argument is intended to actually, posit is that, PC gamers, they spend all this money buying all this hardware, but then the ports that they get are usually unoptimized, which is nonsense. Like, it's throwaway. Let me show you something that we started a conversation on a while back. We started looking at the requirements to play PlayStation 5 games and PlayStation 4 games, basically any PlayStation game that makes its way to PC. What we realized was you could actually play every single PlayStation game that's on PC with a $60 GPU, namely the GTX 1060, as one of the minimum requirements. And with the CPU, you didn't need to spend more than $50 on a CPU. In fact, sometimes we saw some CPUs that were recommended by Sony's PlayStation studios that were as low as $25. I've decided to go ahead and look at the Xbox side of things, and I'm seeing the exact same thing. In fact, I will just go ahead and show you Gears of, Halo. Right now, this is Halo Master Chief Collection. This is requiring you to basically have something as old as a GeForce GTS 450. Let's look at a game like Flight Sim, which is a very tasking game if you're cranking up, say, a lot of settings and all that good stuff. And Flight Simulator should, push the envelope when it comes to what, an Xbox game would require, right? But if we look at it, I was very surprised when I saw this, that the Flight Sim is requiring you to use a GTX 770 or an RX 570. Now, for those of you who may be wondering, a GTX 1070 is better than these two graphics cards, and you can get that for around $80, $95. But even a GTX 1060 is also better than these graphics cards, and you can get that for as little as about $60 on eBay used. So the machine has not always necessarily been what was the power of the machine was not always the gateway to enter. The developers knew that. Even Xbox's developers knew that. PlayStation's developers knew that. So when you get a console port that doesn't work very well, or when you get a PC port that doesn't work very well, all that is on the developer. It's never been on the machine because obviously these developers are making these games and they're basically citing that you can play them on a potato and as a minimum requirement. And then if you go any higher, you can play the game even better. So something is going down with the game itself, the game's port itself. And so that onus should be on the developer and has always been on the developer until some people decided that they wanted to try to, stick their noses into the conversation and pollute the conversation rather than have the conversation from an objective perspective. And so when people say, the PC ports of these games are just all bad, we all played Dragon's Dogma 2. Its console port was not on par as well. They just added you the 120 FPS mode just recently. They gave you the Starfield 60 FPS mode just recently came. Those are console games. Why does nobody ever point to that as the hardware being the problem? Oh, so you just bought yourself a $500 Xbox or you just bought yourself a $500 PlayStation 5 and your console port's not even well optimized. You see how that argument can also be made in contrary to the argument that is being made. It's always been on the onus of the developers, and many video games will come out with those challenges. Even sometimes, surprisingly, we were hearing about games like Jedi, even on console, Jedi Survivor. I was shocked. That one came out buggy on PC. I bought it on PC and I didn't even touch it. I finally beat it on Game Pass because the Game Pass version and even the PC version, they all got stabilized, but the console version got stabilized first, but they came out as unoptimized ports. So we need to go ahead and say, if we're going to hold anyone accountable, it's the developers, it's the publishers, to ensure that they're constantly optimizing their games, ensuring that they play very well for everyone. And you'll also see some people talk about, say, people who have the highest end hardware. Oh, I know somebody who has a 4090. Oh, they're having issues optimizing their games and they're having issues, basically doing their settings and all of that stuff because, they're buying into fads. Well, that's their own business. Don't go spend money on something that you do not understand. This is why you hear, even on this channel, whenever I recommend any PC build, it's always a PC build that is dirt cheap, that meets or surpasses the in fact, at every point, I try to surpass the requirements at a very, very reasonable budget, even a budget that is as close to console, in most cases, way under the console, if you actually factor in your subscription that you are paying and the more, the prices you're paying on games on consoles, which is more on average than PC, I always go ahead and I recommend those if you're looking to go into the PC space. So this conversation is one of just kind of, putting out what the data is, putting out what the reality is. PC gaming is a science. It's not like, but game development is both a science and an art. So when you merge both of them together, you will be able to see, that there are going to be some issues. There are going to be disparities here and there. But at the end of the day, because on the PC side, there are options. Those options allow for freedom, but they also come with their own challenges as well. Because now, there's a lot of freedom, but everyone's got to basically manage, all of what's going on at the end of the day. But anyways, I just want to go ahead and highlight this video because I did see some comments, that were pointing out some of this stuff. And I was like, well, this is, in my opinion, something that I think, needs to be talked about, because I think a lot of people have, all these expectations, with, the games and with what the game should be doing. And, you see comments to this effect. And sometimes you just really have to come in and say, guys, this is not necessarily how things go. There are, challenges that go both ways, even on the console side. The console is just easier for developers, or I would say more ubiquitous. But you notice that even on the Xbox side, having a secondary console also causes issues as well. But developers can always overcome those issues with experience, with time. It's just that for now, a lot of the devices are throwing a loop for a lot of developers. But as we continue to go into these new explosion of devices and explosion of technology, you're going to see developers become more and more adept in what it is that they do. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.